Hi everybody, welcome to the live today. My name is Cathy. I'm so glad you decided to join me. Let me know in the comments below if you are here live or if you are watching this on the replay. Today we're going to delve more deeply into the blueprint for rewiring our brains. So last time we got together, we talked about the importance of our identity and who we perceive ourselves to be. How this is the most important force driving us forward in all of the choices that we make, the habits that we have, and a lot of the beliefs that trickle down from those basic identities. Today, I want to delve into something in addition. We're going to build upon that. So keep that in mind as we move forward, because there's a lot of this different things that kind of like layer on one on top of the other. So in this particular case, our identity is the central part of the whole works, but there are some other factors that also can influence it. So there are beliefs that trickle down from our identities. And oftentimes, if the identity is not super elevated and keeping us in a high vibe and making us feel great, then the belief that follows probably is going to be along that same energetic line. After all, we are all just made up of energy. And our body functions either very well or not so well, depending on our energetic state. So in order to heal our spasmodic dysphonia, we have to learn to make higher frequencies and higher states more of a default in our lives. We all have sort of a baseline where we are going along in our day, and it's usually kind of varies between a low point and a higher point. So the low point I'm going to call the basement. The higher point is the ceiling. So we usually vacillate in between the basement and the ceiling all day long. And I know from my own experience, oftentimes you start off pretty good in the morning. You're getting close to the ceiling and you're having a good morning. But as we progress through our days, we are met by stimulus, things that we come in contact with. We come in contact with other people. We come into contact with other circumstances. You know, there's traffic, there's songs that come on the radio. There's like our five senses are giving us stimulation all the time. And in addition, we have all of this external stuff coming at us. And so oftentimes we can get triggered by these things. When we get triggered, that's the stimulus then being interpreted by our brain as something that is upsetting and or throwing us into fight or flight or into a fear loop or into an identity, an old identity. You know, last time we talked about the fact that sometimes we all identify as having spasmodic dysphonia, and then there's a trickle-down effect that can happen when you have spasmodic dysphonia. There's a set of beliefs, perhaps, that you inherited from your doctor about the ability to heal yourself. There's beliefs that you might have to live with this for the rest of your life. There are beliefs that you cannot heal it, things like that. So oftentimes, especially for us people with SD, we get really triggered by how our own voice sounds to us on any given day. When this happens, sometimes it can throw us back into those fear loops once again, even if we're working to work our way out of them. And we've consciously said, okay, I'm a person healing from SD. I'm not the equivalent of a person who has SD or it exemplifies all of the things that we have been told about SD. I'm a person who's going to be an example and heal myself. So that is something, an important distinction. But sometimes when we get triggered, for instance, you know, we go in, we're at work, we have to do a presentation and talk to our team. And our voice is feeling a little wobbly, or it's not as strong as we want it to be. We are just distracted by that the entire time instead of actually thinking about the contribution we're making with the information we're giving and all of that good stuff, we can get caught into, my Wi-Fi I think is a little funky, so I'm hoping it's gonna hold out for me. Anyway, we have to become conscious when we start getting triggered. Once we get triggered, it's important to just catch it. So oftentimes, if we're riding kind of towards the ceiling of our energetic range, sometimes if we can just catch that trigger before it takes us all the way down this roller coaster ride to the bottom and the basement where all of those negative emotions are living. So it's important that we can identify the triggers first and foremost. And then once we get those identified, then what can we do about it? Well, we can pattern interrupt it. So we don't let the fear loop in the brain start. We don't let the negative self-talk go on and on. We stop it and we jump up from wherever we are. We take a walk outside. We physically move our bodies if possible. If that is not possible, we just change our environment. So we can even like distract ourselves with a funny video, with something that we know that is going to just immediately change our state. You can, listen to a song that you really like, whatever it is that is your go-to thing. This is your job to find out those go-to things that will instantly change your state. We all have ones that work for us. One of mine is I make myself stand up and shake my ass, which is ridiculous. I mean, obviously if I'm in public, maybe not, but sometimes I do anyway. I don't care. And it just makes me laugh because I'm amused by myself and the ridiculousness of the situation. It's hard to take it so seriously because, trust me, we make things so dire, so life or death, and they absolutely are not that dire. We take it all so seriously. And if we can bring some humor and some levity into our day and not take ourselves so seriously, that is a step in the right direction to maintaining that high vibe that I was just talking about. There are so many things for us to that are available to us to help us snap out of it, basically. So you can even just say that to yourself, snap out of it. Go look in the mirror and do some funny faces. There have been scientific studies done when people are doing like silly monkey faces in the mirror, that it automatically changes their brain chemistry. So just even little silly things like that. I want to encourage you to let yourself explore that inner child, because that's going to come in so handy as we are moving through this. We are going to learn to nurture ourselves like we are like the precious little children that are in our care. That is us. Many of us have done that for our actual children, but for some reason we forgot how to do it for ourselves. So these are, just little important things that we can do at any given moment. When we feel the trigger coming on, we feel that, I don't know about you, but I get a tightness in my throat immediately. When I start getting triggered, I feel it immediately go to my vagus nerve. And I can feel it start kind of creeping up, almost like a heat on my face. And so when I am feeling myself get triggered, I just stop, interrupt the pattern by doing whatever it is I'm going to do. And then I can circle back to why was I getting so triggered on that? What is that bringing up for me? What was I making that mean? Because we give everything meaning that is probably not there, but we make it as if it is there. We base it upon past things that have happened to us. We start assuming that the present is going to resemble the past, or the future is going to look like the past, and that is not true. So that's one of the things that we can start identifying when we feel the trigger coming on. Is it because this is reminding us of something that has happened in the past? we have to remember some basic truths, that we are amazing, perfect, beautiful creatures, first and foremost. Next, our bodies know how to heal and are fighting to do that all the time. Next, the universe and God is conspiring for us. These are just basic truths that we can just keep reminding ourselves. And the fact that I promise you, any trigger that you have, you could almost use any of those mantras, if you will, to combat the full roller coaster ride down to your basement. Because as we begin to embrace those truths more and more, we can see the lies that our primordial brain is telling us. Often, especially when we have SD, we are caught in a perpetual state of fight or flight. And so our nervous system is just used to going there from 0 to 60 all the time at the most mundane, silly little things. So what we have to do is work around it. Identify in our brain from the mental point of this whole situation when it's telling us some false information. Unfortunately, the primordial brain's first and foremost job is to keep you safe, to keep you out of the saber-toothed tiger's harm's way. So we identify someone who doesn't smile at us as that saber-toothed tiger. We interpret someone who says they can't hear us as that saber-toothed tiger. It just like sends us immediately into this fear response, this mental loop, and then we can start stacking on the negative beliefs, the negative emotions, that we're just spiraling. What I want to encourage you to do is start stacking the good stuff instead. So when you feel yourself getting triggered, you pause, you change it up, whatever you got to do for yourself. And then you replace that thought with the one that you know is a better choice for your healing. For instance, if it was your voice that triggered you, instead of going down the rabbit hole of I'm never healing, instead you say, nope, this is a temporary blip. I am in the process of healing, and I will soon be able to have evidence of that every waking moment of my day. And then you think back to maybe some recent times where your voice was feeling a little better, or a time when it was a little bit better. The fact that it is able to be better shows you that it has the innate ability to function, and there's just something blocking the communication. So all we have to do is get rid of the blocks. Another one of the blocks is the fact that when we get into the fight or flight, we can't access our prefrontal cortex of our brain. So we're not even able to access part of our brain when we're so traumatized and triggered. So again, this is another great reason to talk ourselves down off the ledge before it gets out of hand, before we go full blown into a crisis or a bad day. We let it ruin our whole day or a week or month or year or whatever, because we keep replaying the scenario with a negative lens on. You know, when we are interpreting anything that happens to us, we're wearing a set of goggles, or we're wearing glasses that we're filtering things through. You know, you hear people talk about rose-colored glasses and how those people that are optimistic have rose-colored glasses. And that's true, actually, because they're choosing to see everything as better than it is, for instance. Now, you don't have to do that. You don't have to put your rose-colored glasses on and see everything as better than it is. But you also don't want to try and see everything worse than it is. How about we see things as they are and just accept that it's just a moment in time right now and it does not dictate the future? So if we have a weak voice day, or we have a moment where our voice is faltering, instead of letting it spiral us down into this continuous low vibe, we stop it and we say, not today. My primordial brain is not going to take hold of me today. I am going to stay in control. And I'm going to choose to think of all the things that you did earlier to propel your healing forward. Say you did your celery juice, say you did your heavy metal detox smoothie, say that you did your meditation or your journaling. So let's pretend that you did all of these things for the benefit of your healing. Let's focus on that. Let's say, yes, I am a pretty amazing healing warrior right now, doing this hard work and doing all of these things that the average Joe would not be even attempting to do. So let's flip the script. That's what we have to get in the habit of doing, is just flipping the script. And the more you do it, the faster you get at it. And then pretty soon you don't have bad days. You might be triggered for a minute or a 2 or 10, whatever. But then you learn to snap yourself out of it so that we can resume, the healing that was happening prior to you getting triggered. Our immune system cannot function when we are triggered and we are in that fight or flight. So anytime that we identify that we're in that, we need to just say, okay, this is not healthy. I'm not entertaining this anymore. Excuse me. I'm not allowing myself to go down there. And I don't know about you, but there are days when I'm just like, no, I'll just shout to myself, I am not doing it. So this is a choice. These are the conscious moments. We're living moment to moment in our healing journey. It comes down to minute by minute. We're not coloring in broad strokes here. We're coloring in the very, very minutia dots. We're doing dots right now. So what we're trying to do is as many dots that are in the right color, in the right area that we want it to be in, and we're putting another dot with every waking moment that we're experiencing. These are the things we have to just become aware of, and being conscious is the key right there. That's why people talk about doing meditation and things like that. It's because it trains you how to be more conscious on a moment by moment basis. When we meditate and we learn to do those types of things, we're becoming trained to just observe ourselves in the present moment without the droning doubts and things that are constantly in your ear telling you negative things about yourself, about your healing, about the future. So taking control of that is how we're starting to rewire our brains. Our brains operate much like a field of grass. There's a path it's used to going down, and that's the path of least resistance. Our thoughts just by default go boop. Oh, there's the electricity is going to find its way down that neural pathway. Again. Well, until we say, nope, not today. We're going to divert it today to this other path. This kind of feels wonky because we've never walked on it before, and it feels high and it feels hard to trudge through. And so we feel a little challenged in doing it. And we do it, and then we're like, that didn't feel normal. That didn't feel authentic because I'm used to going down this other neural pathway, which tells me I'm a piece of crap and that my voice is never going to heal and blah, blah, blah. Instead of this new one that's like, I'm actually healing myself and I'm doing the work and I am on a new path, and it feels uncertain. It's something you haven't done before. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And the behaviors and the thinking that got you into this situation is not the same thinking that is going to get you out of it. So these are just like basic concepts. You hear these things over and over again. They're almost like, cliches because people talk about them all the time. But the reason that they are still around is because they're based in truth. I just want to encourage you guys to start being more conscious. These triggers are the big ones for the day because I guarantee you have a lot of them. I do. I know I do. Or did. I maybe have less now, but I can at least observe myself and kind of chuckle and say, well, there she goes again. And instead of just taking it so seriously, I can modify it and say, okay, I'm actually, I'm forging a new path, and I'm going to enjoy that feeling of uncertainty and of not knowing how it normally feels because I'm trying something different. it's kind of nice because then you can just be in the moment and say, how am I feeling? How is my body feeling in this new neural pathway? Is my heart a little bit more relaxed? Am I able to breathe deeper? Can I access those lower parts of your lungs? Oftentimes we're just shallow breathing because we're in that fight or flight all the time and not truly just relaxed. When we can get into that new state and way of being more often, that's when our immune system's doing its job. That's when our cells are regenerating and regrowing and our nerves are repairing themselves. That's why it's so important to always stay calm if you can. This is a new way of being, but this is the new version of you. And this is the way out. Otherwise we're caught in the perpetual loop. We don't want to stay there. We want to be new versions of ourselves that are thinking different things and feeling different ways and behaving in new ways. All of this healing, these lifestyles, the way we're going to be nourishing our bodies, the way we're going to be avoiding the things that are toxic for us, things like alcohol, things like caffeine, things like troublemaker foods like eggs, gluten, dairy, soy, canola oil, pork. Those types of foods are keeping inflammation in our body, and we want that to go away. But in order to be able to withstand the temptation of all of those foods and the neural pathways that are forged in your brain to eat them, we have to become conscious of those thoughts, and then also conscious of the new way we see ourselves, our new identity, that we are healing warriors and we are brave. We're walking the path that few have walked before us. We're going against society norms. We're going against what the doctors tell us. We're going against what probably most of the other people in your life adopt as their daily way of being. We're doing something different, but we're healing ourselves. So I hope you guys are inspired. I hope when I come on and talk about this stuff and you watch it back, you are inspired to try some of this stuff on your own. And it's okay. It's hard to change. Changing is hard, but I promise you that the uncertainty and the difficulty is what is, if you can just forge those things to get to the other side, that is where the magic is waiting for you, no matter what it is you want in your life. If you want more financial security, you got to do some different things to try and earn the money and to reinvent your skills. If you're looking for a way to improve the relationships in your life, you've got to not react the same old way you've been reacting in your relationships and try something new. So I hope you will try it, and I hope you'll let me know, like in the group. I hope that you'll leave me a comment here and there, or do a post and just let us know how those changes are going for you. Because as we're modifying all of this, you're changing and you're evolving, and this is a new version of you. The past does not dictate the future. The past that experienced the trauma is not the same person that is now healing from it. So we're going to use our new life skills to live and not just survive. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Remember, 1% change every day will eventually get you in a much different trajectory than you have been on so far. So that's all we're looking for, a 1% change. We're going to love ourselves through this process. You're going to shower yourself with as much self-care as you can imagine and muster. The things that bring you joy, the things that make you feel just a little bit lighter. Let's find ways to bring those in every day. When can you schedule them in? We'll have to even just write them into your schedule, because sometimes we have a habit of letting those things go by the wayside in focusing more on other people's needs or something that we think is going to make someone else happy instead of what we really need. So this is your time to shower yourself with self-love, self-care, and just be there for yourself as you're making these changes. You stumble and you get set off by a trigger. That's fine, well and good. Okay, I got so triggered. Haha. That's the old me. That's not how I'm going to handle this in the future. And just learn from it and say, okay, what did I make that mean? I meant it to mean, okay, that look from that person or that comment meant I'm never going to heal my voice. We know that's not true. So why am I letting that cloud my mind right now? We're going to focus on, nope, I did my celery juice. I did my lemon water. I did my heavy metal detox smoothie. I have all of this proof that I am on a healing trajectory. So that's what we're looking for. You will find what it is you're looking for. I love you guys. I hope to see you soon. Leave me a comment and let me know what triggers you and what you're going to do about it. How you can modify your trigger and have a better reaction to it. All right, we'll talk to you very soon. I'll be on here again very soon. All right, bye guys.